Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with it's kind of a combo video. We're going to have a Friday Reads, January wrap-up, and then a February TBR. And so I hope everybody's doing well. Tell you a little bit about my week. Of course, at school, we missed school yesterday. We had a bunch of snow. Well, not a bunch. I guess it was just a few inches of snow, but it was blowing really bad, and we didn't know exactly where we were going to be at, where the up north they got a lot more snow than we did, and we were kind of on that line of where we could get a lot or we could maybe just get a little, and we got a couple inches, but it was blowing real good, and so our administration decided to call off school, and we had a remote day. And so I got a little extra time at home yesterday to do some reading, and that was fun. So that was kind of how the week went. We were kind of balancing out what we were going to be doing with weather, and it's just the last couple weeks with the weather and all the snow that's come in, and then we had one where we were supposed to get a snowstorm, and then nothing came of it, and it just kind of keeps us in limbo a little bit. But we've been chugging right along with the kids, and it's been a couple good weeks. Or this last week was a good week in school, and of course this weekend we look forward to the Super Bowl, and hopefully I'm not jinxing my team with this, but today at school we've got Chiefs Day, and so we get to wear our Chiefs outfits, and that's going to be a lot of fun. You'd never know what a jeans day does for teachers. It is like the best event in the world. We do that once a month on the last Friday of the month, and we've been doing a couple of spirit days, and so we get to do jeans day. So that's kind of the highlight of the teacher's year. But anyway, as far as this week with books, let's get into the books. I was fortunate enough, my mother-in-law picked up a book for me, and I'm not even real sure where she got it. She had given it to my wife, and which then it got handed off to me. I never got to talk to my mother-in-law, so I'm not sure where she got it, but it is The Book of the Continental Soldier, being a complete account of the uniforms, weapons, and equipment with which he lived and fought, by Harold L. Peterson. And so I am really glad to have this book added to my collection. This is really cool. I was not aware of this book, and so nice little edition. It is a 1968 book from Stackpole Company. And let me read the cover to you, and I'll show you a couple pictures, and then we'll move forward here. So it says, let's see, the seldom seen personal side of the American Revolution, an album of the things and tools with which the individual soldier kept his body and spirit alive and battled for independence, a distinguished keepsake for custodians of that heritage 200 years later. And then it says, his cooking and eating utensils, canteens, knapsacks, tents, musical instruments, his clothes, uniforms, insignia, his tools for building campsites and fortifications, his artillery, engineering, horse equipment, his guns, bullets, edged weapons, his scalpels, saws, medical surgical supplies, all of the intimate physical things for daily living, and all of the tools for revolution recreate here the war for independence as it really was for the soldier. In human interest, but definitely authentic text, in using nearly 200 photographs of actual specimens and special paintings and drawings by leading military artists, the Book of the Continental Soldier offers an eyewitness kind of understanding of how the Continental Army functioned and of the things the soldier used to live and to win. Despite an impressive shelf of technical and popular studies and biographies of the conflict in the era, this handsome book deals with an almost neglected area. Even for the reader who doesn't like history, a browse here makes the past very present. Of course, it's a unique resource for those who enjoy fresh historical views, and a treasure for buffs and collectors of all kinds. And so, this sounds like it's going to be really interesting. I'll just open up to a random page, but, it's got all kinds of different pictures in here dealing with weapons, swords. So like here's some officer swords. It tells a little bit about them. You got lots of pictures. So this is going to be, and it shows a lot of the detail of the weapons. And so this is going to be a really cool read. I was very, very happy to pick that up. Or I didn't pick it up. My mother-in-law picked it up. But, you know, nice little gift to start my week off. And so I thank her. So what did I get done in reading this week? So this week was a couple things that happened. We got mysteries done. That was my first one. So Saturday, and I did a book review on this, book chat, but on Saturday I read Dead in Vineyard Sand, or I finished Dead in Vineyard Sand by Philip R. Craig, because I've been on a little bit of a mystery kick. You know, I continually hear everybody out on BookTube talk about mysteries. You know, Steve Donahue's always talking about it, and so I was like, you know, I think I need to maybe dip my toe in the water. And so I've been reading Philip Craig mysteries because my family really likes to watch the Hallmark Mystery Channel, and one of the series on there is the Vineyard mysteries. And so I finished that one on Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I dipped into, I probably could have done this in an afternoon, but you know, sometimes a nap gets in there, and sometimes playing with my 3-year-old gets in there, so I don't always get a whole afternoon to read. So this took a couple of afternoons and evenings, but Philip R. Craig's Vineyard Chill. Finished that mystery at the beginning of the week. Real good book. I'm going to do a book chat on this. I'm going to, I think, schedule it for tomorrow, so be looking forward to this. This was another really good one. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And so also this week, just wanted to throw in there, Peg at the History Shelf and I, we did a book chat over the book that we read, The Zealot and the Emancipator. And that was a really fun time. We did a Zoom chat, and we put that up yesterday, and it was just a lot of fun to get to talk with Peg and just be able to discuss this era that we have common interest in. And I'll be honest, that was my very first time doing that, and I didn't really know what to expect. And so I had a couple of things I'm going to change for next time. If you watch that video, or if you're going to go out and watch that video, you noticed my screen froze several times. Well, a handful of times. And it was distracting to me, I know that, once I went back and rewatched it. But when I taped it, I did it off of my phone's Wi-Fi, and the connection must not have been strong enough. And so I apologize to anybody that watched that and got annoyed with me for that. So the next time that we do a book chat, we've already got one in the works, another book that we're going to read and then review together. The next time I do that, I'm going to go up to school and use the Wi-Fi there, and then the connection won't be broken up. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully we'll fix that. And then I got some, I know now when I do those, I need to have some talking points. I had my notes from the book, but I didn't have talking points ready. And so it creates some odd pauses for me, or on my side. Peg did fine. She was all ready to go and did awesome. And I had some awkward pauses, and that was totally on me, not having talking points ready. So now I know, BookTube, you live and you learn. That's kind of how I viewed that. So hopefully next time my end will be a little bit better on that. But I still, despite that, I still really enjoyed our talk, and I thought I got some stuff out of this book, and it was really good. So that was my week in reading. So let's now turn to my January wrap-up. So this is going to be quick because I've talked about these books several times. So these are the books that I got done in January. So I had started this one at the very, very end of December and finished most of it in January. And so I finished off The Last Neanderthal by Claire Cameron. That was a really good book about you had your Neanderthal, and then you had your Homo sapien, and the two were crossing, and it was the end of one and the beginning of another, and it was quite interesting. And then the other half of the story is a present-day archaeologist digging up the bones and remains and trying to piece together the story. Very, very interesting way to look at that. The next book that I finished was James Michener's Tales of the South Pacific. Good book. And by the way, I have done book chats on all of these, so I'll leave the links to those down below. But this was a good book. It was a World War II novel, and it had a string of several different stories all tied together. And so it was a bunch of individual stories about events during World War II. Some of them fictional, some of them, loosely based on true events. And pretty good read. It was one that I was going to DNF, excuse me, I was going to DNF last year, and I ended up picking it back up and finishing it, and I am glad that I did. And this is leading me into my next Michener sometime this year. I'm going to read Chesapeake, I think is the next one I'm going to read. So I'm glad that I finished that. Next book I finished in January was The Zealot and the Emancipator. Really good story. It was a parallel between John Brown and Abraham Lincoln. And of course, John Brown is the Zealot and Lincoln being the Emancipator. And of course, John Brown definitely went towards the militant side, trying to emancipate the slaves. And Abraham Lincoln being the more political one, trying to do it through politics and get it legally done. And so this was a very interesting parallel between these two and their lives and how they were trying to help the slaves to become free. And we talked about this in the book chat, but I want to add in, it also had a lot of good information about like Stephen Douglas, Roger Taney, Frederick Douglass. So it threw in some other major characters of the time period. And I think if you are a novice in this era, this antebellum Civil War era, and you want to learn more about how the end of slavery came, I think this would be a good read for you. And then, of course, the next three that I got done at the very end of the month were all mysteries. And Dead in Vineyard Sand, like I just talked about. And it was about a death in the on the golf course where they buried the body in a sand pit, just like the picture shows. I read Murder at a Vineyard Mansion, which was a pretty interesting story about you got big mansions being built all over the island, and the initial thought is that it is about the people wanting to preserve the island versus the people who want to build, and it becomes quickly a story of rich versus the rich, and a lot of jealousy and all that stuff that plays in. So that was pretty interesting. And then, of course, the last one that I'll do a book chat on tomorrow, so I don't want to say too much because I don't want to steal my own thunder, is Vineyard Chill. And as you can see, there is a building with some remains. There is a body found there, and so that will be our mystery, is how did that body get there? So that was my reading for the month of January. It turned into fairly productive if you're just looking at numbers of books. I finished 6 books in January, and so I'm pretty happy with that number. Halfway through the month, I didn't know if I was going to get those done, but it turned into a pretty productive month. So let's talk about February. What do I got in the works for February? First of all, I don't have the book with me, but when I go back to the library, I hope to find the other Philip R. Craig Vineyard mystery that our local library had. That's in another town. I just hadn't had a chance. It'll probably be this weekend when I go. So I hope to pick that up, and I'll share that with you next week. I got a buddy read planned with Scott over at the Bookish Bryants, and we're going to read The Bastard. We're going to start this, I think, Sunday or Monday sometime. I'm waiting on him. He was finishing up a book, and so this is one of my all-time favorite books. You'll have to forgive. I had to do some work to that. I had to get some tape and fix a cover, but this is an awesome book. This will be a reread for the umpteenth million time for me, and it's about Philippe Charbonneau, the main character, and he lives in France, and he's going to immigrate to America and live out the ideals of this new country that was being founded. So really good story. I it is one of my all-time favorites, and I don't believe Scott has read this yet, so this will be a first time for him. I do not know if I'll even get back to this, but I'm going to put it out there. Kristin Hanna's The Great Alone. I started this like back in December, and then I put it down, and I just keep not coming back to it. Not because it's not good. It is a good book, but I've had so many other ones being handed to me, and so that's been almost frustrating. It's been a good thing, but bad thing at the same time, if that makes sense. I am still plugging away in American Caesar, Douglas MacArthur. I just got to the point where we are the week of Pearl Harbor. And so I just finished the chapter, what was it, 4? Yeah, just finished chapter 4, page 204, 204 pages in, and they're getting ready to attack. And Douglas MacArthur is trying to prepare the Philippines for an attack because they don't know exactly at that point where the attack is coming, is going to hit. I picked this one up yesterday. I took my 3-year-old daughter during the blowing snow. We walked over to the library because it's just a block or 2 away, and so we walked over to the library, and she picked out just an absolute ton of books, which we read all of them, like between my wife and I, probably 4 or 5 times. She probably picked out, I don't know, it was 5 or 10 books, and we read all of those probably 4 or 5 times altogether throughout the day. So that was part of my reading yesterday. But I wanted to pick up, since I'm on this mystery kick, I picked up Craig Johnson's The Cold Dish. I had tried this one time, and I think it was my state of mind. I just wasn't ready, because now I'm enjoying reading it again. I love the TV show Longmire. It is one of my favorite shows. It's about a sheriff out in Wyoming. He's kind of a, I don't want to call him a renegade, but he kind of does things his own way, and he's always solving mysteries. He puts up this backwoods aura, but he's pretty darn smart, pretty well read, and pretty interesting TV show. I watch it a couple times a week, the reruns. And but anyway, this is the first book in the series, and there's several in this series by Craig Johnson, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm not real far in. I'm just a chapter in. I read that this morning. And then when I went to the library, so again, my initial reason for going was to pick up the mystery, and when I went in, the librarian got all excited, and she went running over to the shelf and pulled out a new book, a brand new book just published this year, and she says, I was so hoping you were going to come in the next day or two, because I got a book for you, and I want you to read it and tell me what you think. So this is Lincoln's Mentors, The Education of a Leader by Michael Gerhardt. And so look at that cover. Isn't that awesome? Absolutely love the cover. And there you go. Sorry about the glare. This is, like I said, a 2021 book, and it is from Custom House. And so I read the introduction this morning, and so I'll start plugging along in this as well. So I've got a lot of books I'm working on in February. So that's my February TBR, and hopefully I can get those, and I'll try to do book reviews as I go. And as I said, I'm going to do a book review on that Philip Craig book, Vineyard Chill. I'm going to do that right after this video. So BookTube, that is my Friday reads, my January wrap-up, and my February TBR. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope everybody's staying warm, staying safe, getting some reading done. Have a great weekend, and then get some rest. And until next time, happy reading.